Yesterday I'm working on the product spec for this feature that we are working on. The feature is basically we're trying to productize the feedback that we get from our participants going through the Reforge programs. Right now what we do is we ask them to take a survey when they're at an event, and this survey is something that we have I put together in a Google form, and we just send it out to them while they're at their events. And while it provides a lot of good feedback, we are looking to do something where it's better incorporated into the product and part of the viewing content experience, so that they give feedback right away. It's on a high friction point, and then we can programmatically take action based on that feedback. So basically you go through a lesson, you rate the lesson, and based on that rating, we can automatically do certain things like we can remind you that you rated this lesson a 5 out of 5 stars, and so 3 months later we can remind them about how much value they got from the content. If they rate the content poorly, like a 1 star, we can ask them to leave qualitative feedback, putting something in the comments, and so we know to go back in and address those problems in that lesson. And as I was kind of thinking through the logic and writing out what ideas I had for the design and how everything would work, I just realized how much detail goes into being a product manager, and how much how much thinking it takes, and how well you need to know the product. And it's definitely a skill set that isn't coming natural to me. I think I'm pretty good at understanding user psychology, but thinking about it in terms of how people interact with product is totally different. And just trying to get comfortable with it, I guess, and like learn this skill set. I started to read again on Kindle Marty Kagan's book, which is Inspired. I think that's the title. And he was talking about just different, very tactical things about being a PM that no one has explained to me yet. I mean, Brian has talked to me about like how a PM should think and what the responsibilities look like. Dan has talked to me about some like technical things and how I need to think about the overall user experience in order to be a good PM on products and to build software. But there were a couple of really specific tactical pieces of advice from Marty in this book. For example, he said that for most successful PMs, the first thing they do every morning is they spend 30 minutes going through the analytics, and they have to be the foremost expert in everything that the customer goes through, as well as the expert on what the product itself looks like and feels like and is as you go through it. And so I think I'm like close to that. Like I'm definitely, it's not like completely far removed, but it's definitely a bit of discomfort as I figure out how to get better at it, how to get really good at this. And I don't know, there were just like moments where I was just really frustrated with how long this was taking, and how much of a challenge this was. And I don't think I quite realized the difficulty. So just kind of like where I'm at with this whole product manager journey. I think when Brian was pitching me the idea, I just thought it was going to be really relying on the skill sets that I had, and I realized that there are all sorts of skill sets that I don't have yet that I will need to change a lot of my behaviors and change how I look at product in order to get better at this. I have 10 more minutes before we jump into the internal growth series where we're covering growth models, and I wanted to add a little bit more context about what I meant when I was talking about the specific behaviors that I think I need to do in order to become a better product manager. And so I've already talked about taking the first 30 minutes of the day to look at the analytics and see how customers are using the different products that we have. I think I talked about continuing to improve my technical skills, whether it's learning a programming language or just getting better at SQL so that I can run my own queries and don't have to rely on Dan, who is our head of product, to pull those queries for me. Staying up to date on changes in technology and what's hot. And I think this is it's analogous to when I started working in entertainment, and I would force myself to read Variety or Deadline, even though at the very beginning it was incredibly boring because I didn't know any of the players. But as you continue to read day in and day out, for me, it probably took a year of getting exposure to those players and those ideas and what was going on to really start to understand the entire ecosystem of entertainment. And I think it's probably similar with tech, right? It's just going to take time, and I won't know how all the pieces necessarily fit together right away. But as I get more reps at it, I'll start to connect those dots and have a broader, better understanding of that ecosystem. And finally, keeping a pulse on the customer data, specifically the qualitative data that we've gathered from customer interviews. We've done probably 50 to 100 customer interviews, and periodically going back and reviewing those so that I constantly have a very good understanding of the pains of our customers, why they signed up for Reforge, what they were expecting to get out of it, and whether those expectations were met. And so those are a couple of the other specific behaviors that I think I need to drill in on and do a better job of making a priority in my day in order to continue to develop as a product manager.